with the amount of drones that have been recently flying very low over people's residential houses, as well as US military airspace, and some airports causing disruptions in flights, and the United States government saying that don't worry, it's safe, everything's fine, but yet on the other side they're saying we don't know what they are. How does anyone or any agency, in this case the United States government, guarantee safety if they don't know what it is? What's very, very strange is that the law enforcement are actually saying they cannot shoot these things down because if they do, they can get into trouble. Now, we all understand you can't shoot these things down in a residential area. That thing can, God forbid, crash through somebody's roof. These things are reported to be over 6 foot. And God forbid somebody gets injured or killed. However, there is a law by the FAA that was put into place not very long ago that states very clearly that any drone that's over 250 grams is subject to a remote ID registration, meaning that they can access where the person lives, who they are, their flight history, whenever they want, and however they want. And what is now stopping them from putting this law into these drones that are quite obviously over 250 grams? Most hobbyist drones that are the smallest little drones like this weigh over 250 grams. What is stopping them from bringing them down? Because the law clearly states they are able to take proper action if they do not have a remote ID, if they are over 250 grams. So what's going on? If the government knows what they are and they're not telling us what they are, what are they busy hiding? It's been very well documented that people and hobbyists that fly drones very often that have remote ID registrations have been contacted by the authorities for flying drones that look too big. The authorities are able to get that information like this. They've been contacted and said, hey, why are you flying over a sports game, for example? We all remember Independence Day, where the alien ships hovered over for a couple of days and they actually had a timer. But everyone thought they were peaceful until they decided to open fire. So if these are extraterrestrials, or just terrestrials, maybe not so extra, what is going on? Something that's extremely strange that makes no sense is they are not able to pick these drones up with thermal imaging, which means these drones are able to fly for hours and hours at a time without emitting any heat. So why do they purposely have some sort of a system where they are cooling the system down inside, internally, to the point where nothing can pick it up? Is that another reason why they are flying them at night? Because there's less chance of heat being emitted into it, because of the color that they are, because of heats going into electronics. How are these things able to stay in the sky for so long? One of the answers to that is there could be some sort of a kinetic energy recovering system, meaning that with friction, so when the propellers, so to speak, go slower, or when they're doing certain amounts of cornering, there could be some sort of energy being stored into the batteries. Like very similar in Formula One many years ago, where they had a system called KERS, also a kinetic energy recovery system, whereby it would generate electricity by the wheels braking and storing that into a battery. It's pretty scary. Another thing that has been reported is that these things are doing 3 to 4G cornering, which is absolutely insane because they're doing it at low speeds, which makes absolutely no sense in terms of physics. We don't have the technology to do that. That stuff is always done. If you look at a Formula One car, the Gs that they go through is insane, but that's because they're going at high speed, fighter jets as well. You don't get that, be able to have a slow moving, let's call it a vehicle or a motorcraft or something of that sort, a drone in this case, and the thing is doing 4G cornering, but it's going pretty slow. If the US government are behind these drones and they do actually know about it, and there is a logical explanation as to why the public cannot know that it's them right now, then why would they compromise their own airspace and fly drones into spaces where they have to stop aircrafts from taking off in airports and in airspace? As I mentioned before, the reports are that some of these drones are up to 6 foot or larger. So another conspiracy theory is they've combined some sort of a drone technology with a RC aircraft. I'm not sure if any of you have seen those videos or those aircrafts where it's pretty much a miniature Boeing or an Airbus plane, sometimes about this big, sometimes a bit bigger, with proper jet engines. And those type of things do resemble airplanes, which we are seeing from the images. We're seeing wings. But again, nothing makes sense at all, because if it is something like that, where is the heat from these things? Why are they being cooled down? And are they being cooled down so they don't get recognized? Is that scaring the government? Are the government actually scared to shoot these things down in case there's some sort of a weapon attached to these things? Are they scared that something's going to retaliate, someone's going to retaliate? We don't really know. Everybody's up in arms with a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry, which I completely understand. Yes, I'm from South Africa. We don't have any drones flying above us, but I do have a lot of friends and family overseas, and it's pretty scary. And from an outsider seeing all of this, the USA has always been the country that most people will look up to. And coming from a country like South Africa with violence every single day, crime every single day, we cannot get away from it. And it's just really disappointing to see that the US government is allowing these drones to just fly around, not give the public any reassurance, but try to give them reassurance by saying, don't worry, it's safe, but we don't know what they are. Come on, guys. It's just human nature that humans react to something once it's happened. But we have the information. We're in the day and age where we are so privileged to have that type of information, where we've got the technology, we've got the brains, so to speak, to look for these things before they happen. But yet, still in 2024, we await for these things to happen. The warning signs are there. If you look at all the bad things that have happened in the world over the past 20, 30 years, these things could have been prevented, but preventative measures were only put in place after these things happened. If you look at what happened to Donald Trump a couple of months ago at the rally, how could that not have been seen? I mean, a guy climbing onto a roof. Really? So then they put in the precautions afterwards. Same thing now. Okay, these things are flying around. You're safe, but we don't know what they are. How does that help people's mental health? They're saying you're physically safe, but they're disregarding people's mental health, which can cause a whole lot of physical problems, which can cause health issues. It's just not okay. So if the government says they're safe, it's only safe if they know what it is. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Or they don't know exactly what these are, where they're from. Sounds like a Backstreet Boys song. And as long as you love me kind of thing. And the most important thing is to cherish your family, spend time with your family if you can, and look after your family. And from us at Abigail Knows Best, look after each other.